Welcome into this Five Clubs conversation. I'm Emma Carpenter, and I am back after that short hiatus. I was actually playing in my fall college golf season, but the Gophers, I might add, had a pretty solid season, actually breaking the program record. So we are sitting pretty here at the end of the fall and looking forward to the spring. But I am unbelievably excited to sit down with my guest here today, who is one of the most compelling figures in the game of golf. We're talking highly acclaimed and dominant amateur and collegiate golfer turned then professional golfer, major winner, and also recent professional long drive finalist. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Bryson DeChambeau. So I am so excited to sit down with Bryson today and talk to him about his career and really what he's up to right now. And I know that you're going to enjoy the listen. And with that, I welcome in Bryson DeChambeau. Mr. Bryson DeChambeau, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Emma. I appreciate it. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining me. So what are you kind of up to right now? You're in the Bahamas, Albany, is that right?
Yeah, in Albany, the Bahamas, taking a vacation. It's technically LIV's first off season, so this is my first off season. I mean, I've had some before, but this is definitely a different one. And look, I'm excited to have 3 months off, going at my body, getting stronger. Just started working out really hard again past couple of days. Trying to get my body to look a little bit more like Martin Borgmeyer, one of the long drivers, the German Greek god. So want to get to a strength level where I can swing it fast no matter what. And I'm not trying to go crazy at it to hit it far. So up in that, and then honestly enjoying some family time as much as I can. That's going to be all a part of the plan. Finishing up some projects I have in Dallas and Clovis, hopefully, and then my home. That's taken 3.5 years to build, which has been crazy. It's been nuts. Like, just everything in general in life has been crazy. And honestly, I can say I'm so blessed and so happy that to be where I'm at right now, and I'm very excited for the future, for the future of golf as well. I mean, there's so many positives that are going to come about from all this, and look, it's we'll get into that obviously, but I'm definitely excited for what's to come. Got my friends here at Albany hanging out.
Oh, well, gosh, that's awesome. I mean, it's certainly a long competitive year, so you've earned some time off, and that's awesome. We're definitely going to get to all that. Some of the things you just mentioned. All the Five Clubs listeners tuning in today already know you are incredibly successful. You're a pioneer, you're a trendsetter, you're an 8-time PGA Tour winner, you're a major winner, and we're going to get to all that. But, we all have to start somewhere, right? It's a journey. Yep. And everyone's journey is different. So can you tell me the story of how you got started in the game of golf?
My goodness. My dad introduced me when I was 3, gave me a little plastic club, and I started swinging away. And by 9, I was starting to play a few tournaments in the game of golf. I love playing soccer, baseball, basketball, you name it. I played every sport. And I was a bit of an athlete. I could do anything and everything. And I was always inquisitive. I questioned everything, as you could imagine. My parents hated it, but it's just who I was. I wanted to know and understand what life is about, what, how everything works. And I just was interested in numerous subjects and topics and sports. But 9, I started to play a couple tournaments. I won my first 2 tournaments that I ever played. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty solid. I think I can play this sport. But I also knew that I wasn't the best, because after that I struggled a little bit, and I had a bunch of other kids beating me at these other events in California. And it was super frustrating. And that was the first time I started to experience like a lot of emotion. I'll never forget my first time as a junior golfer playing in a tournament. I was so nervous on the first tee. I couldn't eat breakfast. I couldn't speak. Just all of that. I was so nervous as like a 9-year-old. And it got to me. And that's one of the things that I struggle with is anxiety for a long time, until after college, and I got into the professional scene and I learned how to speak better, talk to people better. issues with learning how to speak well in public situations. But over the course of time, it's like another subject matter. You just have to learn it and figure it out and figure out what keys work for you. And so going back to then, I was a very emotional person. And that's why I always tried to take out the emotional side of it, trying to be more robotic, more systematic, more of an analytical approach, because I wanted to take out that emotion because I knew it affected how I played. And that's what I tried to do. Ultimately, coming to this point, I realize emotions are always going to be there. You can't change that. But what I try and do is take the data analytics and my thought process, my awareness of spatial reasoning, and apply it to the game of golf in the best way I possibly can, while adding that fuel to the fire of, okay, I want to dominate. I want to go out there and play at my absolute best, give it my all.
Something that I've realized in college for sure, when you're younger, we're not as emotionally mature. Golf is definitely a tough sport to handle. But I mean, just for me personally, up to this point, what I've realized is like all of the best golfers are really emotional because you're passionate, right?
Yep.
Because you want to do the best that you can do because you care. Right? Exactly.
And you never give up. I mean, you look at Tiger, what he's done. And I mean, that was my idol growing up. Ben Hogan, Mo Norman. I don't know if you know that, but I mean, look, then going into my teenage years, I won the Northern California. I won the California Junior Am, which was huge for me. Yeah. And after winning that, I had some college coaches finally look at me when I was like 15, 16, because I never had money to go play AJGA events. I didn't have the funds at all. I would literally go door to door asking for support and money to go play in these junior golf events. And that's how I started learning how to talk to people. It's one of the ways, right? But I had to go do it because my parents were like, well, we don't have the funds to go out and play this year. You're going to have to go figure out a way to make money to do it. And I didn't want to work. So I asked for like loans and good faith, sort of charity work towards me. And there's people that were nice enough to do it. And I was lucky enough to go out there because I had sold, candies when I was younger to all these families and everything. And I knew them. And that's kind of how the relationship got going. Then I asked, I was like, look, my parents are struggling. I want to go play these events. Is there any way that you could help me out at all? And Sure enough, I was able to get some families to help out, and we went and played. And it was definitely, there were some tough times during my high school years, but after I won the California Junior, then went to Junior World a few times, finished second against Bo Hostler. Then SMU came into the play. Josh Berger came into the play, and he offered me a full ride, and that was the biggest school that offered me a full ride. I had Oregon that offered me close to a full ride, almost a full ride. But I was like, look, that coach just won a couple NCAA championships with Augusta State, and I'm willing to take a risk to go with him. I didn't know what Texas was about, never even seen the campus, and I committed to him without even seeing or taking an official visit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What a story. Wow. So even at a young age, you had nerves and anxiety in sport, as well as in public speaking and talking to people, and having to go door to door to ask people to help support you in your junior career in order to, have the opportunity to be in front of college coaches, to get recruited, to take that and to do things like winning the California Junior State Am. I mean, what a story. That's so impressive. And you say too that that's kind of how part of what helped you get better at talking with people. So it's amazing. Definitely. Bryson, I'm a college golfer. We talk a lot about college golf here on my show. And as far as individual achievements in college golf, you mentioned you got recruited to go play for SMU. And in college golf, I mean, you've really done more than anybody. So prior to your junior year at SMU, Southern Methodist University, you broke the tournament record in the World Amateur Team Golf Championships, 61 on the final day. You'd already won in college. 2014 US Palmer Cup team, and then 2015 was kind of your huge year. It was massive. The first Mustang to ever win the NCAA National Individual Tournament. And then just 2 months later, you turn around and win the USAM, and you won 7 and 6 in your final match. At that point, you'd already made your PGA Tour debut at the FedEx St. Jude, and just a few weeks later, you're announced as part of the Walker Cup team. I mean, It's what you did is
It was
just
a whirlwind.
whirlwind, right?
For sure. You go from, yeah, I'm a pretty dang good college golfer to, okay, I've won the two biggest events in amateur golf pretty much.
Oh yeah,
For any college golfer, you win the NCAAs and the US Am in the same year. I mean, only 5 people have done that.
5 people,
And
right?
so that was definitely unexpected. It's the only two tournaments I won that year, actually. Funny enough. I don't know if you know that, but
You picked the right ones. You picked the right ones for sure.
Yes, exactly. And so, the year before that, I definitely felt, I felt my game coming into full bloom, if you want to say that. It was because I was focused on, okay, this is kind of bad, but it is what it is. I was focused on golf more than my schooling. I was still getting good grades. Like I was like, B's and C's, but I started, my freshman year, I was 75%, or I was 50-50 in regards to golf and school. By my sophomore year, it was 75% golf and 25% because I saw myself playing better and better each year. And I'm like, okay, let's keep adding to it each year. That was kind of like my formula in my head.
Yeah.
75% golf, 25% school. And then my junior year, it was like 90% golf and 10% school. And I wasn't as great of a student, but I saw myself going in the right direction. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this a try. Let's see what I can do. And it was a lot of focus on golf, and I barely partied. I barely did anything. I went and worked my butt off, and it ultimately paid off. In that way, I went and played my first PGA Tour event. That was another moment where I was super nervous. One of the most nervous moments of my entire life.
I mean, rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah, first PGA Tour event at the FedEx St. Jude, which is a very difficult golf course. You got to hit it straight. Yeah, and look, I've gone through numerous problems growing up, and even in college. Like, people don't realize I had the yips in college before I won NCAAs and the US Amateur. I really struggled with it, and so I spent one day 10 hours out on the putting green, as hard as I possibly could, putting with this stupid brick putter that Adele made me a long time ago. And I learned how to putt with it better. And ultimately, I became a decent putter and won the NCAAs because of it. It's just these things where I took an insane amount of hours and tried to figure something out when something wasn't going well. And I took that next step compared to when everybody would just go out and just be like, you know what, I'm okay, I'll figure it out tomorrow. I didn't accept that. I went out and I went the distance.
I mean, would you say, obviously you're talking about your putting, you made a change that was ultimately helped you, I mean, come out victorious. Do you think that there's kind of a right way to do things? Do you think that it changes? Do you still putt the same way that you did?
No, obviously I don't at all. I've changed so many times, and I putted well for the US Amateur and the NCAAs, but I realized it wasn't good enough for competitive professional golf. And that's when I started trying different things. I went to face on putting. I've done everything. I've tried everything. And you know what? I'm okay with all the, backlash and whatnot, because I want to figure it out. I want to try to understand what's going on, and I asked so many people, and everybody's like, well, I don't know, maybe. There's no answers in the game of golf. Truly, there's nothing.
Do you see there being like one true answer for you that you'll eventually find, and that's kind of the magical combination? Or do you think that no matter what, it's always going to keep changing?
There's always something that allows you to be incredibly repeatable for you, because you've won. It's a bit of a mix. So you found some thought processes and ideas that allow you to be repeatable on your own end, and then also you practice incredibly hard upon those bases. And so once you find that, that's kind of your formula, your way to play the game the way you want to, but in the most efficient way possible for yourself. So there is a way for you. You just got to go figure it out. Nobody's going to tell you how to do it. There's no way DJ got taught, okay, do this. There's no way Colin got taught, do this, or John Rahm that, or Justin Thomas jump off the ground, or Bubba Watson jump off the ground. There's no way they were taught that. It just inherently happened through a lot of practice and what felt good to them.
Everything that you did during your time at SMU, like you said, they were your first really, really big offer. And that's ultimately why you decided to go play there. It's a great school. I took a couple visits to SMU as well. It's a great place, but you really are still, to this day, and I assume for a very, very long time, possibly forever, are really the face of the program. And
Payne Stewart is too, so I got to give him credit. He's the reason why I went there as well. I wore the cap. That was for Ben Hogan and Payne Stewart. I was a huge fanatic. I love them. And then, as obviously, and I'll just get to the point of this, is that as time has gone on, and I'm now doing something different, more in a team aspect. I want to look more like the other guys on my team. So, the Ryder Cup, I did that. I wore a normal ball cap for the Ryder Cup last year. And now I'm doing that with the team stuff. And so that's the reason why I'm not wearing the cap anymore, but I still have huge respect for Payne Stewart, who's a great role model, and Ben Hogan, who meant the world to me in my golf swing.
Moving away from the cap, as that had to have been a pretty big sacrifice.
Yeah, it was, but it also wasn't at the same time, because I didn't want to be defined by that hat. I wanted to be defined by who I am as a person, and so there was a big thing. Like, I love the cap. I've worn it since the age of 12 for every tournament I've played in. I won my first tournament wearing it. So like I wore it, and that's when I won the first two events I played in. I was like, okay, I gotta keep wearing this. It's just kind of like my thing. And ultimately it just got to a point where I didn't want to be defined by that. That's not who I wanted to be. And I'm, look, I'll still always have that part of me in my life, but sometimes people have to realize that, hopefully they realize that it's more than just the cap. It's me as a person, and I can make myself whoever I want to be if I work hard enough. And that's hopefully the lesson people can learn.
At what point in your amateur career or your collegiate career did you know that you were ready to start competing at the highest level? Did it take all of those big wins in 2015, or did you know that you were destined to be a PGA Tour major winner well before all of that?
I thought I had a chance if I worked hard enough, but you never really know until it happens. There's plenty of golfers out there, plenty of college golfers that are the best in the world right now, and they may never make it on the PGA Tour or with LIV or whoever. There's plenty of guys that are 50th on the Wagger that may become the best player in the world. We just don't know. It's one of those things that you've always got to take each tournament by tournament and focus on what you're doing to improve each and every time. I didn't know I was going to be in this position. I had no idea. I'm 29 now, and like looking back on it, I never would have thought I'd be in the position that I am today when I was in college. Not even close. I thought I'd do, a couple of cool things. Maybe I'd win a couple more majors, or maybe I wouldn't win anything at all. I didn't know what it was. So there was never any knowledge of, I know exactly what I'm going to do. It was always, what can I do in this next tournament to be the best I could possibly be? And you keep adding those up over the course of time, and you grow to, whatever you become. So did I know I was going to do what I'm doing? Not at all. No clue whatsoever. I reserve that for God himself to know what's going to happen in my life. But I will tell you that, working as hard as you possibly can every single day for each event, each tournament is the most important thing you can do to make yourself better.
After you won the USAM, like you said, you won the USAM and you won NCAA individual nationals in the same year. Little did you know you'd actually go on to win the US Open and be one of 3 people to win all 3 of those events, the other 2 being Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. How does it feel to add your name to that short list?
Well, a lot of lucky things had to happen for that to occur, for that situation to occur. But no, it's amazing. Obviously, I relish that statistic and fact, and I'm sure there'll be other people that down the road that do it. But for now, it's us 3, and I'm very blessed to be a part of that group, and hopefully I can do some more cool stuff here down the road. I honestly feel like my career is just beginning, even though there's been a lot of weird things going on. I'm going to have probably close to 100 major championship opportunities for the rest of my career. That's what I've calculated it out to be, given that I'm, able to do the things in the majors moving forward. So look, I really believe that I have good opportunity to win a few more times, a few more majors. And, the other part too is like, I'd love to, win tournaments that I've won before. However that happens, I don't know how that's going to happen with everything that's going on in the world, but I'd love to go provide entertainment on the other side as well. I mean, I'd love to do that and give my best for them, as well as what we're doing over on LIV. And so win a lot of LIV tournaments, win some majors, and hopefully one day get back and play a few tournaments that I love near and dear to my heart on the PGA Tour.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Well, and I mean, you've been so successful on the PGA Tour in your professional career. You got your PGA Tour card and right away in 2016 when you turned pro, which is incredibly impressive. I mean, just the professional route. I got so many close friends, know so many people who have done it. It's really competitive. It's so hard to get your PGA Tour card right away. Obviously, it was probably no surprise to anybody given how highly acclaimed, how dominant you were. But I mean, really, it's so impressive.
Well, thank you. It was nerve-wracking, though. A lot of it was very nervy. Sometimes I couldn't sleep at night because I'm like, man, there's so much pressure on me because I know I've won the NCAA's and USAM in the same year. And now they want me to perform on the PGA Tour. Like, oh, my goodness. Not easy at all. So, I finished fourth. I don't know how I did it. I played incredible fourth at RBC Heritage, my first professional start after the Masters in 2016. And then I missed every single cut after that. And then I went to the Korn Ferry Tour finals. And I won my first Korn Ferry Tour final. It was more like it was a hit or miss for me starting out in professional golf. And I go in 2017 and miss 14 cuts in a row.
And then win the John Deere.
Then win the John Deere 4 weeks later. So It was just like a hit or miss sort of thing. And late in 2017, I was like, okay, I got to redo everything. I got to redo everything in my golf swing. I know there's a couple baseline principles that'll stick with me, but I got to redo my golf swing, redo my putting, redo everything so that I could become a more repeatable, consistent golfer. Because I was looking at DJ and Jordan and all these unbelievable golfers, Rory, and they don't even have to work anywhere near as hard as me, and they're way better than me. Okay, so there's something they're doing that's more repeatable and it's more efficient. So how do I do that? And that's what I figured out. I won't go into that because some of my secrets allowed me to be up at the top no matter what.
Okay.
For the most part. But that is definitely a thing that everybody has to go through to try and figure out, how do I become more repeatable?
So when you're talking about that and you're, comparing yourself to these other players, I mean, we've talked about a little bit how everything is specific to you, right? You're not, are you trying to emulate something?
It's a mix of both. You have to look at what other players are doing. You have to take what they're doing and say, okay, can I implement any of that? And if I can't, you take what they're doing and see what they're doing and kind of do it in your own way. Whether it's the golf swing or putting, you find out what's working for them within their golf swing and their body, like how their body's moving or whatever. And that's why I alluded to, the left wrist arching and all that. There are things that these guys do that make themselves more repeatable. Now it may look odd. It's not perfectly on plane, or it's not perfectly, whatever, but those are the things when I highlight those things, and I'm kind of giving you the hints of it. When they have these weird looking things in their golf swing, like Jim Furyk, there's a reason why they continue to do that. Why they're not changing it to get it back on plane. They do it because it's more repeatable. And it's their body's way of knowing where the club head is at all times.
After that kind of epiphany that you had at the end of 2017, 2018, you went on and you won the Memorial, you won the Northern Trust, you won the Dell Technologies, and then 2019, the Shriners Children's Open, 2020, the Rocket Mortgage, US Open. I mean, an absolute highlight of your career. And then 2021, the Arnold Palmer Invite at Bay Hill. Something that you've always been kind of open to sharing and that people have really found interesting is your more scientific and sort of data-driven approach. When did you start implementing these ideas?
I wasn't as good as everybody growing up. And so I tried to find distinct advantages that gave me an upper edge. And so at every single corner, that's literally what it was. 2011, I'm like, dang it, I've got to learn how to swing, 13 or 14 clubs, including my putter, and they're all different. How am I gonna, how do I practice more efficiently? And I thought to myself, well, if I could swing the same club every single time, because that's all I'd do. I'd hit my 8-iron or 7-iron every single day, all day long. That was my favorite club to hit. I was like, well, what if everything was just that same length? So I could practice every club while just hitting one club. And that's kind of how I thought about it. And I went and built a set, and it worked. And I've used it ever since. That's one of the things that people don't realize. Like, I'm playing with one length set of clubs, which are not done today at all. And a lot of people are, that use them or try them, they're like, oh my gosh, this is really awesome. This makes a lot of sense. But because most people have played variable length their whole entire lives, They just keep playing that. The best way to introduce somebody to the game of golf is through one length, because then they don't have to change, the length and the setup and all that. They don't have to change really anything. So, it's just, how do I explain it? It's just things that people have done over the course of history to just continue to keep doing without knowing that there's potentially a better way. Now, look, if you've played variable length your whole life and you're a good golfer and all that, there's no need to change, not at all. But if you're starting out and you want to learn how to play the game, it's one of the easiest ways to play. And so at every corner, it's been out of necessity. I've needed to find a little something that allows me to gain an edge in that area, whether it's driving, hitting it farther, hitting my iron straighter, or putting better, or chipping it better, whatever it is. I've tried to gain that little strokes gain potential.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the irons all being the same length, part of what makes sense is the idea of you having the exact same setup, right? We're talking about repeatability, the ability to do the same thing over and over. So Bryson, are you telling me that it's too late for me to start using single length irons?
Well, you're a great golfer already. I don't want to mess anything up you're doing.
I think there's definitely some room for improvement. So.
The one thing I will say is, like, the wedges are a bit unique. You got to get used to them, but I'm one of the best short-sighted wedgers out there, short game guys out there. It's mainly because of the length of the club. I'm able to apply a lot more speed, and so I can do things with a golf ball from short side positions that other people can't. So it's actually been a benefit. It sometimes can get tough when it's a straightforward 30-yard little pitch shot. It's not, because there's not as much weight with the head, and so you don't have the same connection and compression every time. So it's a little bit more difficult on that. But if you can get around that, I mean, I'm willing to give that a little bit of that up to have better iron play like I do. I was the best iron player in 2018, one of the best drivers in 2018. I just, again, going back to that distinct advantage, I found something in 2017, 2018, and I lost it. I didn't know what I did fully. I had a good understanding of what I was doing for most of the time. And that's why I've still won, and I won a US Open and all that. Mm-hmm. But I didn't understand it. It wasn't until 2 weeks ago, right before Miami, that I figured out what it was in 2017 that I was doing. It was so good. Went back to my old shaft. There's just things that I've been doing that made me super repeatable and successful. And it sucks because now I this offseason, I got to wait a whole another year. But I'm
Bryson? For next year. Bryson, you got to fill us in here. What were you doing in 2017 that you're doing?
Well, so this is going back to the repeatability stuff. I built an end range of motion system. What that means is, like, I'm locking down certain things in my body. That's why I look rigid and very stiff. Sometimes I set up and all that, but I'm setting up alignments to the face and trying to hold those throughout the whole golf swing. And that's how I gain perceptual awareness. It's like a pressure gauge. It's like if I put my wrist all the way to end range in one direction, there's pressure, there's tension, right? I use that tension to know where the club is in space. Now, it doesn't slow me down. It doesn't do anything. It's just literally like a pin bolt, right? And a machine just locks it down, stabilizes 1 degree of freedom motion. And so when I do that, I have got a sense of where that face is. Just like John Rahm going here or Dustin Johnson going here, they've got pressure, massive pressure, so they know where that face is. Mm-hmm. So that's, again, what I was alluding to is some of those end ranges of motion, and they match it up to certain things. And so for me, I'd always kept my left arm dead straight, but as I started gaining speed, even in 2018, I was starting to gain speed. I was starting to hit it farther because I was trying to get more distance a little bit, because I knew I was only like 290, 295. My left arm started to buckle, and I never realized it. I haven't realized it for 4 years. Up the top, and the speed, it would buckle, and then it would align the head and face outside in. And so I'd always wipe across it when I gained speed. Sometimes I'd slow it down and the arm would straighten and the head would go square, but then I'd duck hook it. And so that's where, like, all my misses came about. And that's also why I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna hit it as far as I possibly can, because I know for some reason through this process at one point in time, I'm going to figure out what broke in 2017, 2018 that made me not as good anymore. Because I felt like Mo Norman and Ben Hogan in 2018. I could do anything and everything with a golf ball and fully control it. And I was on top of the world. It was like I won 4 times and 2 in the, 2 back to back. And I was even though it didn't show it, I was the number one player in the world for that specific point in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just one of those things that I was like, man, if I could just get back to there with that speed now that I have, so you can kind of see the lineage. Like I had this repeatable thing that broke down, and I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna hit it really far. And then from that, hopefully I could understand what's going on with the body. And I just came to 2 weeks ago before we played Doral, and I shot 5-6 under against Louis, and we played unbelievable together. And he unfortunately got me at the end. I misaligned one of my stuff on the 23rd hole and hit it left. But again, one of those things that's golf. You can be the best ball striker in the world, best putter in the world, and still get beat.
Yeah. Always.
That's the crazy part.
Always. So. Well, Bryson, I can't even imagine the sense of clarity you feel being able to really break it down the way you are and just like study it and compare. We all do it as golfers, kind of comparing maybe our swing a little bit, like, oh, why was I hitting it so well before? Or why was I able to, to repeat this exact ball flight each time? And I can't do that right now. But the way that you're able to really break it down, makes a lot of sense, especially to you. People call you the scientist, Bryson.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It is what it is. I'd rather be called like a professor or something like that than a scientist. But yes, that's the name they've given me. I will say this: Phil gave me a great statement one time, and Tiger's told me this too. You either got to be really smart in the game, or you got to be really dumb, and you just don't know anything. And you just go play and you enjoy it and you have fun. Literally, those are the two things. If you're stuck in the middle, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to be one of the best.
So you obviously picked the really smart route.
Yeah, but it's sometimes the not as easy route. I'll tell you that. And then vice versa, the way Dustin Johnson plays, and I'm not saying that he's dumb at all. He's actually incredibly smart.
You got to be smart. You got to be smart to be a good golfer.
You have to be. And the thing is like he plays that card really well, but he knows a lot about the golf swing.
Of course, right.
So it's kind of a sneaky little smart play that he doesn't really showcase that much.
Sure.
You got to really not know too much, or you got to know a lot. And that's what Phil does. That's what VJ has done. Fred Couples was on the other side. Tiger knew a lot. He knows a lot from the experiences and the time that I've been with him. And the same thing with me. Just went down that road.
I love all the shout outs that these players are getting. I'm loving it.
That's what it is. That's true.
Well deserving. Now in 2020, you rocked the whole golf world. You did something that no golfer had ever done before. You added, as people know, you added 45 pounds to your frame in less than a year, from late 2019 to 2020.
A lot of it was fat.
Okay. Well, can you just kind of tell me about this process? Like, clearly a decision was made to make this drastic change, right? Why did you feel like you needed to do this? And how did you kind of formulate that plan?
Well, I was trying to gain as much strength. I had a guy, Greg Roscoff, that MAT guy, muscle activation techniques out of Denver, and been working with him for a while. I was like, look, I want to get really strong while still not losing any of my range of motion. And sure enough, that's what we did. We trained really hard, and I ate things that were not great for my system that I was very sensitive to. And ultimately it got to the point where it was a little too much. And that's when I started to back off of that. And I got to the point now where I ate improperly for almost a year and a half, and I was starting to feel weird. My system, my gut was all messed up. And so I went completely healthy, went on a Whole30 diet, and got a nutritionist, did blood work, measured stuff in my gut biome. I was super inflamed. And then just recently, it's been about 2.5 months now, I've been using this chef. I lost 20 pounds in a month. I had such huge mood swings from it. It was not good, but all the inflammation has just left my system, and I feel a lot more at ease. I mean, I'm a lot leaner now, and I feel better. My face is thinned out. Finally, I look like I'm 20 again, not 35. So
oh no,
I'm happy about that. So yeah, I mean, look, it's been for me, I always go to the extremes. I start out with going to each side, and then from there I best fit what works for me. And I think that's a decent way to live life. It can be a tough one at times because it's such huge swings. But if you don't know one side of the coin or to the other, I mean, how can you ever figure out what works best for you? And that's kind of what I did with my life, what I've done with my life so far.
Absolutely. So I take it that kind of that approach that you took to put on a lot of weight in order to
Yeah.
take the ball further. That's something that you wouldn't recommend to other golfers.
No, I mean, get stronger, but in a healthy way. Go get, a blood sensitivity test and figure out what works best for your body to gain size and strength. But work out, like the way I worked out was good. I worked out really well. I had the best trainer for that. I had the best teacher for that as well, if you want to say. So that's great. I did that great. I didn't eat well. That's the piece I was missing. And that's the piece I'm implementing for this off season.
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously you decided that it was really important that you would have an advantage over everybody if you could hit the ball further than everybody, right?
Yep.
Why did you kind of when did you notice that? Yeah. When did you make that decision?
Mark Brody, I was talking with Chris Como. Mark Brody had a statistic out that was, if you could hit it, was it 3 yards further, you could be 6 more yards offline and still have the same strokes gain potential. And I was like, man, I can hit it 3 yards further and still hit it inside that 6 yards.
Sure.
Or try that. And again, going to the full length, the extreme of it, right? That's kind of how I started my process of getting stronger and hitting it farther. And then also looking at Kyle Berkshire and seeing he's got 220 mile an hour ball speed. I'm like, I'm at 175. If I get to like 190, that'd be great, please. And so that's what I did. And it ultimately helped out a lot. And it's helped me out in so many situations. I'll tell you, I played terrible golf this year, last year, after Arnold Palmer. I mean, I played well at Arnold Palmer, but even before Arnold Palmer, I played like my C game. The only reason why I'm still a top 50 player, given that the rankings are correct and not that I haven't played. Okay. Either way.
Sure. Yeah, no, I follow you.
Being a top 50 player for that long wouldn't have been possible had I not had the length. Based on the way I was playing, because I could hit iron off the tee where people hit in driver, hit in the fairway with an iron. And anyway, the length has tremendously helped. I wouldn't have been able to come back from my injury, my hand injury, if I didn't have the length. I would have been starting out at 150 ball speed, 160 ball speed, around that area. I was starting at 175 ball speed, and then I got it back up to 190 within 4 weeks.
Yeah. In addition to this huge physical transformation that you went through, you've tried, like we've talked about, you've tried a lot of different things over the last 6 years. A lot of things have changed. Is there anything that you've done that was, less effective than you thought it would be? I guess other than, putting on all that weight, we've talked about, you've tried different putting strokes, different
face on putting.
Yeah.
Things didn't work as well as I thought it would have, but that's the one I would tell you. Face on putting's it didn't work out that well. And gaining a lot of weight. Gaining a lot of weight isn't necessarily the best thing for a body.
Sure. Is there anything that you haven't tried yet that you do plan on trying?
Well, eating healthy while trying to gain strength. That's what I'm doing this off season. That's what I'm excited about. And then just helping out Cobra with their R&D team with the new technologies in the driver, building a more aerodynamic head that makes it go faster. So the guys that are swinging faster will even go faster. So those are the things I'm really excited about in the future. And then also spending a lot more time with my family. Like that's a huge thing for me now.
Just a few weeks ago, you competed in the professional long drive championships. That you made it all the way to the finals. I mean, that had to have been an absolute blast. But also, amazing. The biggest part of conversation in golf, in the world of golf this calendar year, has been something that I've gotten a chance to discuss here on Five Clubs. Like I said, I talk a lot about college golf, and I've had on Eugenio Chacarra, James Pyatt, who are both now playing alongside you on the LIV Tour. And I just want to dig into real quick what it's kind of been like for you so far. You've played six events. What for you has been the coolest moment so far?
The team aspect. And I think the camaraderie between the players is a lot different. We all see ourselves as not, look, we're competing at the highest level that we can relative to the field that we have. And we're competing and we're fighting like never before. But we all realize, what's happening in the world right now in the game of golf, and we respect each other on that level because we've made this crazy decision. People would call it crazy, obviously, but for us, it made total sense. We're all happy. We're all enjoying this new opportunity, this new format. The team aspect is such a unique thing. I mean, you're in college, right? So you're on a team.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is it to rely on a team every once in a while when stuff's not going well in a day, right?
Well, how would you compare the team piece of it to anything that you've done before? You've been a part of a Ryder Cup team, a President's Cup team, even a college team. How would you say that feeling compares?
It's very much like a college golf event, but obviously elevated with fans, and there's just obviously in the professional side of it. But to a Ryder Cup, it's different because there's 12 guys. I mean, we've got 4 guys on a team out here, and President's Cup, it's a miniature version of that, and it's each week, which is kind of cool. But that's the way I would liken it to. It's more of a miniature version of a Ryder Cup, President's Cup, but it's done every single week that we play. I think that's kind of cool, and it feels like a bit of a college golf event, but in an elevated way. The stakes are a lot higher, I'll tell you that.
It is different, when you've got a team relying on you and counting on you, and it makes
the pressure. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, when I lost to Louis, it was demoralizing to me because I let, their families were there with them down the first fairway, and I'm looking at their families with my teammates, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just lost. And how do I feel as a captain? And it's brutal. I'll tell you, it's brutal. It's, I haven't experienced, being the losing person for a Ryder Cup team or a President's Cup team, but there's definitely some similarities to that. What they are, I don't fully know, but it was not fun. And so it's a feeling I don't ever want to have. And it's motivating me for next year. But I'll tell you that the nice part about all of this, whether you're on one side or the other, it's going to provide a lot of opportunity for college golfers. And that's what I'm excited about. I hope people can realize that and see that there's massive opportunity in the game of golf for everybody to make a great financial future. And again, it's just there's so many opportunities. The international series, going and playing internationally, those purses are getting increased. Whether you play on the Corn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour, doesn't matter. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to play and grow your game, which is awesome.
Wow. Yeah. It's really interesting that you say that you mentioned that about the opportunities for perhaps college golfers, like Eugenio and James, the opportunity that they took with LIV. So in your opinion, what do you think is kind of the biggest strategy for the LIV Tour? Do you think it's getting players who are longtime successful professional golfers, or the amateurs who are up and coming, doing a lot in the game, showing a lot of promise?
I would say the most important thing is they just keep showing their model, the team format, the franchise model. Over the course of time, people will see and start to love certain teams, get attached to them, and fight for them, just like the NFL, NBA, NHL, you name it. It's going to take time, though. I understand people don't have an affection for it right now, and the way it's presented, there is a reason for that, and I won't go into that because of my position legally. But it'll all figure itself out in the end. Look, I've always said this, and I heard this about a month ago. Whenever there's disruption in anything in life, there's always a net positive in the end. Humans have always progressed, not regressed. There have been times where there's been minor regressions, but in the end, over the course of time, whenever there's disruption that comes about, the world progresses. And I hope people can see that and see through all of this minutia and just minor stuff that's going on right now. because when you look at the game 10 years from now, I think this game will be stronger than ever.
You made the decision to join this LIV Tour, but it was also after some really, really successful moments on the PGA Tour. Like we've talked about. I mean, you won Jack's tournament, you won Arnold Palmer's tournament, talking about,
Yeah.
I'm referring to the Memorial and at Bay Hill. And this is in addition to 6 other PGA Tour wins, including a US Open. Could you imagine your career without these monumental moments?
No, obviously not. I mean, they're the foundations of my career, but the other, live golf was never an opportunity when these events were going on, and so I have personally thank, and I have before, the PGA Tour for everything they've provided me, and Tiger for what he's done. If Tiger doesn't do what he does in the game of golf doesn't grow the way it is, and it doesn't become as visible to the people that are now running LIV Golf.
Yeah.
So I have all of them to thank. And, that's the funny thing about it, is that, in life, things don't always happen the way you want them to. You're not always going to get your way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people have to realize that, that's okay. People make decisions based on not just, legacy and whatnot, although you can create your legacy wherever you want. They make it based on their family. And, I've gone through life, my whole life, playing professional golf or playing golf. And, there's more to life than golf as well. But if you're a college golfer and you're aspiring to be a professional, your life is college, is golf, for a little while.
But obviously you're still very passionate about the PGA Tour and about all the things it's done for you and
Absolutely.
for players right now. You were one of the 11 names that was on a lawsuit filed against the PGA Tour for the suspension. Now you're still one of the last names still on the lawsuit. Bryson, would you like to keep playing on the PGA Tour?
Oh yeah, at some point that will happen. I believe personally, but the reason why I'm still in it is because, and I'll just say it here. I mean, I've said it on SportsCenter as well. They haven't paid me the rest of my PIP money that I earned last year. I was 5th on the list, and it was $3 million, and the 175, half of it. You have to complete 2 obligations, which is playing a PGA Tour event that you haven't played in 4 years, which is the Valero. Played in the Valero, and then the other is completing a. It was a junior golf thing. It was an outing, first tee of Dallas event. And that was scheduled in November, and this was done literally last year. And so there was no opportunity to change it. They didn't want me to change it all, and they said, because you're not against standing, you can't complete that, and we're not going to pay you because of that. It's already escrowed, most likely. It's already watermarked. It's already, but they just won't do it. And so for me, I'm like, look, it's not about the money. The money is not the point for me at all. It's principle. I've given you guys my body for last year, and I provided entertainment all the way through it. And I completed your full year. I finished on the FedEx Cup. I played another event, and now you're not allowing me to play or to finish out an obligation because of where I'm at with you guys. You suspended me, you banned me, you suspended me, told me I couldn't play and complete all my obligations to be a PGA Tour member, even though I'm qualified and exempt till 2026 or whatever, 2027. Okay, whatever. That's your decision. I didn't make that choice. I made the choice to go over play LIV, but I'm an IC. I'm an independent contractor. So anyway, whatever, it is what it is. So for me, it's not about the money. I have pledged to give it to junior golfers, to junior golf foundations, whether it's in Texas and in California, where I grew up, junior golf of Northern California, JGA and C. I want that money to go somewhere good. If it's not going to go to me, let it go somewhere else in a good way. And if it's going to come to me, I'm still going to pledge it to junior golf. And so that's kind of my position as of right now. And it's frustrating that they aren't complying with it. They don't even want to do anything with it. Kind of shows where they're at.
Do you see the future being that these 2 tours are coexisting?
They're going to have to.
like I said, I'm very, very happy for you and in the decision that you've made and that you're happy. And it's exciting that you got some time off right now to relax and get to working on the iron game like we've talked about.
That's right.
Well, Bryson, here, I want to wrap things up now. I do a quick 5 clubs, 5 questions to wrap up each episode. So number 1, if you could only use one exercise machine, what would it be?
It'd be probably the pec deck.
The pec deck.
Yeah.
All right. Who has been your favorite professional golfer to play with?
Tiger.
Now, you talked a lot about the nerves that you felt throughout your career, right? I mean, I experience this a lot. I swear I'm like the queen of getting so nervous before golf tournaments. I can't even remember the first tee shot. I'm that nervous. What do you do to calm your nerves before each event?
Breathe. You got to breathe properly. 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out.
Love it. I'm gonna do that next time. Okay, so what is your favorite food that's like a guilty pleasure for you?
Brownies. Ghirardelli double chocolate brownies.
Oh, the Ghirardelli double chocolate brownies. Yeah. My brother used to make those and then just eat the batter. Make the brownies.
I eat a lot of the batter too.
It's the best batter, honestly. So
that's when I got fat too, by the way.
All right. Last question. What do you think that the maximum drive is that a human being could hit?
Well, the limits on a driver, I think it's 260 mile an hour ball speed off the face before it breaks. Okay. So it'd be about that. We're getting close.
Okay. So you're getting close to
Kyle is. He's at 236 ball speed. So once you start getting the ball to come off around 255 to 260 miles an hour, that thing starts to crack immediately. We're already going through them in 30 drives.
So are you going to need to start carrying multiple drivers in the bag?
Yeah.
Just each time?
I got to get to 230 or 225. I've never gotten to 225 yet. So I got a long ways to go before I even get close to 260, but that'd be fun one day.
Like you said, you're getting close.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Bonus question. I'm breaking the rules here a little bit. 6th question. Who is your favorite college golf podcaster?
You. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm honored. Bryson, thank you so much.
That's funny. Nice.
All right. Well, Bryson, I'm gonna let you get back to your vacation, to your work here. Thank you so much for joining me today on 5 Clubs. It's been an absolute blast chatting with you. I've been a really big fan for a long time. Wish you the best of luck. Really look forward to watching you.
You too as well. Good luck this year. And what else do you got going on?
Well, I'm also in my off season right now too.
Okay.
So we start back.
The season ended. Well, the fall season ended.
Fall season is ended. Yeah. And then start back up in the spring. I'm going to Albany. I'm going to the Bahamas, right where you are.
Nice.
For Auburn's home event in February. So.
Oh, cool. That'll be fun. It's a great golf course. It's a lot of fun. Good test. Make sure short game's good.
Okay. Short game. Got
Practice
it.
Short game. Yes.
Practice short game. And it doesn't help because we're actually in an indoor facility here in Minnesota. No. So
go to the end of the grain AstroTurf. Practice a lot on that.
Got it. Okay, will do. Noted.
All right. Sounds good. Right. Great talking to you.
Bryson.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much, Bryson DeChambeau, for joining me today on 5 Clubs. We wish Bryson the best of luck throughout the rest of his career and expect to see a lot more success along the way. So thank you, listeners, for tuning in with me here today on 5 Clubs.